Luke records of those in Berea that they were more noble than those in Thessalonica, and that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the Scriptures daily, whether those things were so. Acts 17, verse 11. Curry, Eldridge, and parish churches of Christ, along with other congregations of the Church of Christ in Walker County, welcome you to search the Scriptures. And now, your speaker for today.
Good morning and welcome to Search the Scriptures. My name is Don Gary and I'm the preacher for the Quintown Church of Christ. We are located at 4124 Okahola Road, just south of Dora. We encourage you to come out and visit with us in Bible class. We have Sunday at 9:30 a.m. After that we have our worship service at 10:30. We have an evening worship service at 5:30. We also invite you out to our midweek Bible study at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Want to encourage you to make your comments or questions and send them to quintownchurch@gmail.com. Also, you may call or text 580-301-3153. You can find all of this information, including a map of our location, at quintown.com. Also on quintown.com, you'll find an option to subscribe to our weekly bulletin. You can even enroll in a Bible correspondence course, all of which is free to you. There you'll also find links to our social media and Bible trivia games where you can test your knowledge of the Scriptures. We encourage you to do so. This week we've been noticing and pointing out the difference between the Old and New Testaments. We've observed passages like Romans 7, 4 through 7, and even through verse 13, seeing that the law does have a purpose, but we're no longer under that law today. We don't have to abide by that law today. We have the New Testament law to abide by. It tells us how to act. It tells us how to worship. It tells us how to live if we want to be deemed faithful to God. The Old Testament law does not and is not enforced upon us today. And with that, we find we're no longer under the 10 Commandments. They're a part of the Old Testament and a huge part of the Old Testament. We do find those points are reiterated in the New Testament. They're confirmed and they're established in the new law, but we are not adherents to the old law, to that Old Testament. We continued yesterday. We made it through the first 4 points, the first 4 in the 10 Commandments, and today we'll pick up with 5 and finish them. Honor thy father and mother. Now these are found in Exodus 20, 3 through 17. Honor thy father and mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Honor thy father and mother. That's an important one. If we're no longer under the 10 Commandments, does that mean that's out of the picture? We don't have to do that? We can disrespect them? Absolutely not. We find that enforced in the New Testament. Matthew 15 and verse 4. For God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father and mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. And honor not his father or mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. Here is that these people living under the Old Testament were circumventing this law. They came up with something called Corban, where if the Old Testament adherents, these Jews, if they gave their money to the temple would take just a portion of that and hold it for them. And then after the parents passed away, they would give that back to them. Well, how did this help them at all? Well, they didn't have to pay to help their parents retire. They didn't have money, they couldn't help their parents. And so it circumvented something, that law to honor thy father and mother. And here it is that God frowned upon that. Now this is concerning those in the Old Testament. Let's look now at Matthew 19:19. Matthew 19:19. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. We find there's some things are being preached. There's some things are being taught by Jesus. They're being enforced. They're being restated here in this section of the Bible, the New Testament. And I encourage you, if you have any divisive thoughts, if you have anything that has set you at odds with the lesson that I am proclaiming, the scriptures we've been addressing, I encourage you to send those thoughts to us. And let us answer them with Scripture. Scripture doesn't contradict Scripture. And what we've pointed out is from Romans 7, we're no longer under the old law. And from Hebrews 7, 8, 9, and 10, we find that things have been made new. The New Testament is set up for us, not the Old Testament. Let us continue here. Romans 1, 29 through 32. Romans 1, 29 through 32. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God that they wish to commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. That was a long list of very wicked things. And society would not object to a great many of those things and identify those things as evil, set them apart as wicked, obviously breaking the law. In that same list, in verse 30, we find inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. We find that listening to our parents, obeying our parents, is something that the Bible teaches. Now, our next commandment here, thou shalt not kill. Well, that's an important one to have in the Bible. Thou shalt do no murder is how it might be rendered in some translations. Matthew 5, 21 and 22. Matthew 5, 21 and 22. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whatsoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. Verse 22, but I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Whosoever shall say to his brother, worthless, Reka, shall be in danger of the council. Whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. We see this anger, this hatred that drives one to kill is condemned. Not just killing alone, but simply the hatred that drives one to that point is condemned. Let's look now at 1 Peter 4:15. 1 Peter 4:15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Don't be found guilty of those things. Yes, it is confirmed in the New Testament. Next commandment here, thou shalt not commit adultery. Matthew 5, 27, 28. Matthew 5, 27 and 28. Ye have heard that it was said of them by old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. He's explaining that's what's going on in his mind already. You will find this again in Mark 10, 11 and 12. Jesus is teaching these things. He's enforcing these things in the New Testament. Mark 10, 11 and 12. And he saith unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another commits adultery against her. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she commits adultery. He'll go on to explain the exception. But what we see here is that adultery has been set apart. It has been reestablished in the New Testament. That is a law that God expects us to abide by. While he may be quoting the Ten Commandments, here he is enforcing it for the New Testament. He is preaching it. Let us see now. Thou shalt not steal. We find in Mark 10:19, same opening in my Bible. Mark 10:19, thou knowest the commandments. Do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness, defraud not, honor thy father and mother. So we see that stealing is still enforced. It is reiterated in the New Testament. We find that not all of these are. If you were with us yesterday, we addressed that Sabbath day. Now, let's look at the next one here. Ephesians 4:28 will be our next reference. Ephesians 4 and verse 28. Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needs. We find that enforced, taught, preached in the New Testament. Our next one here. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. We just addressed that in Matthew 15, or Mark 10 pointed that out. We'll look at Matthew 15, 19 and 20. Matthew 15, 19 and 20. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile a man. We find that this makes one wicked, defiles us. Ephesians 4:25. Head back over to Ephesians, reference 4:25. Wherefore put away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. We're not to bear false witness. We're not to steal either. We've gone through each of these commandments. Let's look at the last one. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, nor his wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And we'll see this pointed out in Luke 12:15. Look with me now at Romans 13:9. Romans 13:9. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, bear false witness, covet. If there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. If we'll do that, we'll keep these commandments. There's not need to see those things restated, not each point, as we have noticed, but we find them embodied in this one principle. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And we addressed that golden rule yesterday, Matthew 7:12. If we'll do this, if we'll honor our neighbors as ourselves, if we'll do what we should do unto them, we can keep these commandments today. But we're not under that Old Testament. Thank you for listening with us as we've searched the Scriptures, and hope you'll be with us tomorrow.
Thank you for allowing us to search the Scriptures with you today. If you have questions you would like answered concerning today's message or any other Bible topic, please contact one of our speakers or any of our sponsoring congregations. For free Bible study materials, studies through the mail, or to set up a personal Bible study, please contact Curry Church of Christ, 5454 Curry Highway, Jasper 35503, or contact by phone at 387-7338. Eldridge Church of Christ, P.O. Box 64, Eldridge 35554. Or contact by phone at 924-9715. Parish Church of Christ, P.O. Box 118, Parish, Alabama 35580. Or contact by phone at 686-7996. Thank you again for searching the Scriptures with us today. This program airs each weekday morning at 8:15.